Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic, and welcome to this very, very special episode tonight on Thursday is, of course, the Divine Feminine Oracle Show, the long-promised past live show. My guests tonight, of course, you can find Julie, Sophie, and Janine here on the web. Let me just show you where you can go and subscribe and support these people. You can find Janine at Sending Ravens here on YouTube and also here on Tarot by Janine. I lost that slide for a second. You can find Julie as well here at Maison Jupiter. Welcome, Julie, Sophie, and Janine. How are you tonight?
Hey, everybody.
All right, guys, it is a Mercury retrograde. And we're trying to organize all this stuff, and we have 4 people on the slide deck tonight, and we have a lot of information to go through. So bear with us. There might be some technical difficulties. Just as we were recording yesterday, our pay-per-view, I lost power, and we had a bunch of weird things happening. So it is to be expected. So big thank you to everyone joining us here tonight. As discussed here, we are going to get into this idea of past lives, why it's important now, why perhaps the astrology is supporting us to revisit maybe some of those past lives and some of the lessons that are yet to be learned in this particular lifetime. So I think what we can do, let me start with Julie and ask Julie how we got into the genesis of this episode. Just a couple of weeks ago, you and I did this with Janine. This Janine Investigates on the Soul Contracts episode, and that led us into understanding that perhaps we needed to dive a little bit further on the past lives. Can you bridge that gap for the audience here and set the stage for the conversation tonight, Julie?
Yeah, so when we did this pay-per-view on soul contracts, it was super interesting because one of the questions we had in that pay-per-view was, is it important and is it relevant right now to know about our past lives, to dig into our past, to maybe learn some lessons, some experiences as we've had before, either on Earth or off Earth? And Janine got the answer that it was very relevant and very important at this time, precisely for our awakening and also moving forward, to know maybe what we've acquired so far in our past lives as of an experience and what we still have to acquire in this particular lifetime for gathering more consciousness, gathering more awakening. So that was very interesting. And also coming up this weekend, we've got the second eclipse of 2, which is going to be on May 16, the full moon eclipse in Scorpio. And this one is going to be conjunct the South Node. And South Node talks about past lives, past karma, past collective karma in this case. So I think it's going to bring up in the collective energy all of our past programming, past lives, a lot of past karma going up on the surface in order for us to heal, in order for us to move on from also. It's like a big purge. Mm-hmm. So I think individually we will be asked to know what we have to let go of in order to move on. And also collectively, I think it's going to be the case also.
Okay, very good. And folks, if you haven't seen the episode already, the last one that we produced, the 3 of us together, let me see if I can bring that back on screen here. It was, yes, on the Scorpio moons, this episode here 3 weeks ago. If you haven't seen that, that was very enlightening. It was very fun. It was also triggering and healing for a lot of our audience members. So if you haven't seen that one, I really, truly recommend you go and check it out. And also it ties in on the healing part also with the Scorpios, and a lot of the Scorpios here watching this show here live and always in our audience memberships. Now, let me ask Sophie, as you're doing these one-on-one consultations here at maisonjupiter.com for the audience members, you're seeing some of these recurring patterns also, how past lives now are really important in the furtherment or the development of your clients here as they move forward here into this transition towards this new age of Aquarius. Without giving, of course, any personal details of any of your clients, what can you share with the audience members here as in terms of what's coming up, what's been highlighted, and how you're helping people navigate this whole concept?
Yeah, a lot of it comes up recently. So I always feel guided that the first part of the reading, except if you have a lot of question, I tend to go inwards. I connect to the energy and I see what is there that I need to share with a client at that time. And recently was almost all the time past lives. And I go directly, I see one or two past life. I connect the dots at what is the theme, what is recurring theme that is in both lives that I see, what is chronic pain that you have that is still with you, phobias, fear, what is the main attraction also. So you can have gift that you have and you don't know why you're attracted to a certain era or area of the globe, or even a craft or anything that you're really attracted to. So when I come back and because I'm always in a trance, and I don't do that with a card, I do that in a trance. When I come back and we connect with, okay, how do you feel? A lot of time they are in tears because they really connect emotionally to that. And after it, I clear and the pain goes away. The trauma goes away. We need to do that right now. I think it's really the moment that we need to do that to purge.
Very good. Okay, let me bring Janine into all of this also. Can you maybe, Janine, of course, you were part of that Soul Contract episode. We've also recently done one on Earth and the Space Force and how a lot of humans right now are actively engaged in this rapprochement or this disclosure movement, whether they know it or not. So again, it has something to do with our past lives, and we'll get to your particular past life here, Janine, in a little bit. But before we do that, can you pull some cards, Janine, and perhaps see what energies are supporting this show and supporting the audience members who are reflecting on this also right now and trying to figure out how exploring this avenue of themselves can also maybe perhaps help them go through one of the plateaus that they're probably facing right now as we're going in through these eclipses at the current moment. Janine.
Well, this card's really emotional. So following our heart and also following the line. It's almost like we're finding these lines that bring us back to knowing ourselves better. So it's like following, and like the more I hear about my past lives, the more it feels like I can lace together why I feel the way I do about certain people, why certain people trigger me, certain situations trigger me. It all just starts to make sense. So it's like this weaving that happens. Okay. And the more intellectual information that we can gather about it, okay, even though it's a really emotional thing, okay, the more we can understand it intellectually as humans going forward, we can actually maybe make better choices with our future situations. We can actually make better choices. If we know what's triggering us and why, instead of just reacting, we can actually make a conscious choice. It's like being more conscious and knowing yourself better. It's just a healthier way to approach things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Just a second here, Stella. I agree with you. Janine's volume is still a little bit low. So, Janine, if we were trying to fix that before the show here, if you can bring your microphone level just up a little bit, and I'm going to ask also Julie and Sophie to perhaps mute themselves. There's a lot of background noise. I'm trying to not create echo here for the audience members. Okay, so thank you for that, Janine. That kind of sets the stage here. So, Julie, as you were preparing for this show, you looked at the astrology, and of course, all three guinea pigs here lined up. We've all agreed to share with you our past lives and how the astrology might be aligning right now and what we need to share with the audience. And again, we've all agreed to this, and we want to share with you, the audience members here, what we're going through so that perhaps you can resonate with parts of that and see how that can also perhaps engage you in your own process here towards this self-mastery. So, Julie, explain a little bit before we get into each of the personal slides, how this data is collected and how you're using astrology to look at people's past life. Where does that fall into in terms of the actual chart? And let me bring up your website again here for the people who are looking for their personalized birth chart and who might be holding them right now during this show. Explain to them how to follow along with you here to figure out where perhaps there's indications of their past lives.
Yeah, sure. So if you have your birth chart with you, or if you have it made on a website or on my website, you can look up for it's in the form of a horseshoe. We're going to see in a few minutes on the slides. I have it. It's a little symbol that looks like a horseshoe, and you're looking at the one with the handle that's pointing down. So yeah, exactly. Thank you. So that's the symbol for the south node. So this is what we look at in your birth chart in order for us to know in what sign it is located, first of all, and in what house. And it gives us kind of hints of what have you gathered as an experience in your past lives? What have you mastered? What kind of life experience have you experienced before in your past lives? And exactly opposed to your south node, you have your north node. So it is always exactly oppose each other. So the north node, it is where in this incarnation you have to move towards even more. So this is something that is going to feel sometimes uncomfortable because it's something that you did not master in past lives. It is something that is going to feel totally new in this life. But you're looking for, because your soul always wants to experience new experiences, right? So it wants to experience all of the variety of situations, relationships, families, jobs. So your soul wants to experience all of it. And you're trying to move away from what you have experienced before and to gather like the missing pieces of the puzzle, if you wish, to continue on your awakening process. So in the astrological birth chart, we look for their south node in order to have hints about what kind of past lives have you had, what kind of experience have you lived on Earth before, or is it off Earth? So I'm going to give you some hints so we can look at in order for us to know what kind of past lives it is. And then we look at the north node, which is exactly opposite the south node, in order for us to give us more details on how to direct yourself in this life.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I think that sets the stage for the audience members, and hopefully, if you're watching along with us, you have your personalized birth chart from Maison Jupiter, and of course, you can get so at maisonjupiter.com. Let me ask Janine and Sophie first, maybe to share some words of wisdom as we're looking into past lives. For a lot of people doing the work out there, there's difference of opinions, whether you're looking at Dolores Cannon's work or some other psychics. Some people say it's not really useful to look back in the future. We need to look here in the present. And some other would say, no, it's important to know where you come from in order to understand where you're going in this life. So I'm going to ask both of you, whether personal data or whether you want to pull from the cards, what you would suggest to the audience there as to the benefits and also maybe some of the pitfalls that come with that. So let's start with you, Janine. What can you share with the audience in terms of wisdom there?
I've always found it really useful to know about my past lives. And when I worked with my clientele for years, I found it really useful. It was very healing to look into certain past life situations that were, reflecting in their current lifetime. Once you know what you're working on and what you have to work with and where your triggers are, and what kind of people and why you have the feelings you have for certain people, it really helps you move forward and heal and just get over things. So I actually think it's very empowering. But you don't want to stay stuck in those past lives, and you want to get over it, even if we're not always good in our past lives, and they weren't always good lifetimes. In fact, most of the ones I would channel were very difficult ones because that was what was affecting the person in the current life. So it's often there's trauma around it, but it can really help people release and go forward. So if it's handled properly, I think it's really useful.
Okay, very good. That's great advice. Sophie, words of wisdom for the audience on that same subject matter.
I totally agree with you, Janine. And for me, I think that if we look at only chronic pain, there is no way we can get it out except from going where where the root is. We need to go there. We need to remove that. Phobias also. Phobia is not something that you can logically think. It doesn't make sense, so I can just remove it and think something logical to get it out of your system. Phobias are PTSD from past life traumas that if you're not going back, you have no way of knowing where and why and how to remove that. So there's multiple reason to go back, to move further in life better, but also to understand your soul. We need to understand our gift, what we have been doing, where we are in the evolution. Like you said, relationship too is really important to know. Is it the first time that I have this karma with someone, or am I doing the same thing over and over again? Because when we incarnate, we don't have the memory. So it's always something new. But if it's 20 years, 20 lives, sorry, that you're doing the same thing, we want to move to something else.
Yeah, it's like been there, done that. Okay, I'm done with that lesson. Let's move on now. Okay, so I love that. I think that sets the stage. And of course, I want to maybe just reiterate what Janine was saying. It's important to be able to look in the past in order to be moving forward. But for some people, when they start looking into the past, they do get trapped there. And that's probably the one caveat I think we all agree that we have to avoid here. Again, in trying to move forward and moving the dial forward, that's the whole point of this episode and of this show. And the collaboration here. Okay, very good. So, Julie, let's start with the first guinea pig. Who's going first in your list here tonight?
I'm so excited for this part. Thank you guys for agreeing to share your past life information with me and with the public, of course. So first of all, a big thank you. And yeah, I'll just add to the conversation we were just having that I think once you consciously look at your past lives, it allows you to maybe stop looping and stop doing the same things over and over again. Because if we're not conscious about it, we don't know. But from lives to life, usually we do the same things all over again. We have the same type of relationships. We do the same mistakes. So once you're conscious of it, it allows you to make different choices and better choices for your evolution. So I just wanted to add that before. So yeah, so I looked at all of your birth charts where your south node was located and where your north node is located also. And what's super interesting is that Janine and Sophie, they have the south node and the north node in the same houses, but opposite each other. So it's like, we'll get into details, but it's like Janine, what she experienced in the past, what she had mastered in past lives, is what Sophie is looking to develop in this lifetime. And what Sophie already mastered in past lifetime, Janine is looking to develop this in this lifetime. So I think this is super interesting. And JC and I, we kind of have the same pattern with the houses. You and I, it's our 4th and our 10th house with our south node and north node. So it's the same for us. We're exactly opposite each other. So I think we have a lot to learn from each other. This is so cool.
Interesting. And it's so cool that we're sharing this, because without sharing, we wouldn't figure this stuff out. So, okay. And guys, bear with us here, because there's stuff here that we might go through that we don't know yet. So we're all participating live with you guys here, and we're I don't want to say falling victim, but we're being empowered here with this conversation. Yeah. So just bear with us as we go. Okay, Julie, let's start with the first one here.
Yeah.
Let's start with Janine. Is that where you want to go?
With Janine, yeah, exactly. Okay. So again, we're looking at this little symbol that I put on the top right of this slide. So this is what we call the south node. So we're looking at it in order to have clues about what it looked like in your chart. So for Janine, she has her south node in the sign of Pisces in her 12th house. So it kind of tells us that she was a mystic. She was very much into the occult, spirituality, and also her south node is conjunct Chiron. So she was already a healer in her past lives. And what I found is super interesting is that in this incarnation, Janine is bringing back this healing knowledge and experience in order to help us to share her knowledge in this lifetime. So it's not always looking at the south node in a kind of bad way. Some astrologers look at that in a bad way, that you have to detach from it. You have to detach from it, but also it's what you've gathered as a knowledge and experience. So it's good to take it with you also in this lifetime. And both Pisces and the 12th house are also connected with otherworldly experiences. So I think that might be a possibility for Janine also in recent past lives, that it might be on another planet or another dimension or another density. Because Pisces is like the sign that you feel more connected to source. So maybe let's say in a 12 density, 12 dimension, that you're closer to source, and bringing back this time healing keys for humanity this time around for her to share. So I thought that was super interesting. Maybe we'll look at the cards after that. Sure. And directly opposite her south node in Pisces, she has a north node in the sign of Virgo in her 6th house. So Virgo is all about the day-to-day life, the physical body, health. So it's much more practical than Pisces. Pisces just want to connect with source, connect with spirituality, heal. It's like get out of your physical body in order to connect even more. And Virgo is kind of really being physically incarnated in this 3D experience. So Janine, in this incarnation, she has to bring that healing knowledge and experience and bring it in a more day-to-day life. She has to learn about organization, practical things. So I know that's kind of boring, right? The values of work and discipline, and how to implement that spirituality in this everyday world and everyday actions. And also her north node is conjunct Pluto. So it's kind of being an occult specialist, but how do you work with it in your everyday life, and how do you empower yourself and empower others with that knowledge?
Wow, fascinating. Okay, why don't we alternate here? Let me ask Sophie. Now, Sophie, you've pulled cards on Janine's past life here. Let's see what you can add to the astrological alignments here, and then we'll ask, of course, Janine her thoughts on all of this and move forward from there. Go ahead, Sophie.
So I didn't use cards for past life. I tend to not go with cards at first. I like to go blindly with what I see. And when I connected before the show to Janine, I did see that they try to burn you as a witch in past life. You escape by water. So you escape at night on a small boat by yourself. They had to burn somebody. At that point, they didn't want to lose their face. They didn't want to... And they had this massive buildup also to this event. The fire was already there, so they had to do something. So they did burn someone instead of you, and they make it look like you. And I'm strongly feeling that this person is the one that you're working with on your channel, Ashley. I am saying that with the most respect. I hope it's not something that you feel badly about. What I found fascinating about that is that instead of being mad at you, her soul joined you to help you get a stronger gift in your vision, your intuition, and she was always by your side. So I really love that soul connecting to yours. And I feel that your connection in this life is some kind of healing for that past life of yours.
Yeah.
Wow.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Let's start there a little bit, Janine. First, your thoughts on some of this astrology, and also now what Sophie is bringing into that.
Well, astrologically, it makes a lot of sense, because even today I was teasing on my Sending Ravens channel, because I did a reading, something that I would do, by the way, about my plumbing situation. My actual house plumbing, by the way, because I got a bunch of weird comments in my comment section thinking I was talking about actual plumbing in my body, but no, we're talking about my house plumbing, okay? So I'm having issues with my plumbing at my house, and I did the cards on it. And I was laughing about it because I was being so practical. So this lifetime, all my entire work has been spiritual, but I'm super practical about it.
Wow. That makes so much sense.
Makes sense, right? 12th house, 6th house.
Yep.
And I do it daily as daily work. And one of my biggest lessons this lifetime was learning to like go to the bank and actually talk to bankers. And spirit world was totally simple for me. Like all these people come to me and they're trying to connect spiritually, and I'm like, what are you connecting spiritually is like breathing. That's all I do all day long. So it was like grounding and actually like figuring out how to manage finances. Like I only just bought a house finally when I turned 60 because I had no clue how to manage these kind of things. How to manage day-to-day things was my biggest issue, actually. But I'm doing great, by the way.
Yeah, you seem like you are.
It took a while. So yeah, what you said made sense. And then the thing about Ashley, that just, okay, it's a gut punch in a way, but we completely, from the minute we met, we loved each other. And it's not like I feel protective of her, but I have a lot of, like, I would do a lot. I would go a long way to make Ashley's life more comfortable and or to help her in any way. So that makes sense. And she's unbelievably one of the best friends I've ever had. So it makes sense that we had that rapport for sure.
Wow, that's absolutely cool.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into the next volunteer, and I say volunteer earlier as I was translating in my brain, I kind of said victim. I absolutely don't mean victim. I mean volunteer because we're all empowered and deciding to do this.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad, I promise.
It's not that bad. So bear with me again in the retrograde. I have trouble translating live in these shows. So yes, before we get to the next volunteer, Yvette is saying, wow, I'm going to need to watch this again with my chart. Yes, and I recommend you do so. And I recommend also, if you go check out this episode, somewhere I have it here, on Julie's YouTube channel, she did create a video on how specifically to read those birth charts. So this is Birth Charts 101 for beginners. So please do go and subscribe here to Julie at Maison Jupiter, and you'll go and find that video. It'll really help you out here on reading all of the incredible data that is provided with the birth chart, as well as the PDF report that comes with this particular product. So thank you, Yvette, for that. I really appreciate that. Okay, Julie, who's next here in terms of volunteers?
Let's talk about Sophie, since it's related to Janine, because she has like the opposite experience that she's looking for in this incarnation. Okay. So Sophie has her south node in the sign of Virgo in the 6th house. So it's the same sign as Janine's north node. So they're exactly opposite with the houses and also with the signs. So that's super nice. And also I have to say that the Virgo Pisces axis, or 6th house, 12th house, same thing. It's about healing, and it's about healing the physical body, the spiritual body, which is Pisces. So it makes a lot of sense that in our industry of spiritual light workers, there's a lot of those signs involved in the nodes. So Sophie has her south node in the sign of Virgo, 6th house. So that tells us that she probably was a natural healer. So it's kind of we can say like witch, but also working with Earth's element. So 6th house is healing of the physical body. It could be with herbs. It could be with potions. Anything that's natural and that comes from the earth would be connected with the 6th house and the sign of Virgo. And also the 6th house and Virgo are signs that are in service to others or in service to source. It's like you're on a mission and you're spending this incarnation in service. So Sophie is kind of here to bring back healing keys from past lives in the everyday life, because her south node is Virgo. So it's something that she already mastered. and her sun is conjunct with her south node. So that's why she sees past lives so clearly in this life. It's part of her life mission, in order for us to work better with our past lives, because she sees them. It's part of her life mission, which is the sun. So so I wrote life mission very much connected to past lives. And if we go opposite of the south node, her north node is in the sign of Pisces in her 12th house, which is, again, exactly opposite Janine's. So Sophie, in this lifetime, she has to develop even more her psychic gifts. She's becoming more of a mystic, of a clear channel, because both 12th house and Pisces talk about being a channel. So clear channel from source. So she can maybe channel departed entities, also outer worldly beings. I know these days it's more, she channels more departed entities than ETs, but we never know. So it's anything that's outside of our physical reality. So she's working on becoming a clearer channel. She's already a really good one.
Wow.
So I would say she's right on the money.
Right on. Okay, very good. I love that. Why don't we switch the tables here and ask Janine to add to that, either intuition, downloads, or maybe with the use of the tarot cards. What would you add to that, Janine?
I'm going to ask the cards what the universe wants to tell Sophie about her past lives.
Okay, very good. And Julie, if I can ask you to bring your volume down just a little bit. So somehow Janine's volume is very low, so we need to bring hers down a little bit more.
Is it better?
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry. I tried everything and I couldn't get it to go up.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. There was a really big disappointment in one of, well, I think a very recent past, disappointed in an emotional situation. It feels like it was like a lovership. It was an unrequited love is what I get. And the person remained a friend when you wanted to be more than a friend. And this lifetime, I feel like that's going to heal. So you have a very big connection with somebody from that past life where you had unrequited love that is coming around. So I don't know if you've already with them or they're coming, but it feels like that's going to heal this lifetime because it was unresolved. And when we have unresolved emotional situations, love or hate or all this, the spectrum, when we have really big emotions for a situation, it has to be resolved because it creates an imbalance. So this lifetime, you're a really deep connection with somebody who I feel like might have even been the very same person in that lifetime where you weren't able to come together. So there's going to be a big soulmate relationship. Would you say you were already in one of those?
Hold on, Sophie. You're muted. Go ahead, Sophie. Go ahead.
So you're completely correct. I had a twin flame in the past that took 10 years to come over that lesson. And now I'm with a soulmate. So now I'm healing.
Good. Surrender. Wow. That's good. Wow. So I feel like it may not exactly align with the node situation, but I feel like your soul just wanted to tell you that. So sometimes a big lesson of ours is to be in a relationship with somebody. Do you know what I mean? And really heal it. And that felt like a really big deal for you, Sophie. So I'm glad you're tackling it.
Well, thank you so much, because you know what? I had an appointment with a medium 2 days ago, and I forgot to ask that question that you just answered for me tonight. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Very good. Okay. Julie, did you want to add anything to that? Of course, Sophie is your sibling. You might want to add something to that or not. It's okay. We can move to the next one. Also, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you guys were saying, that relationships are for sure a big key element of our awakening in our growth, personal growth. So for sure, depending also sometimes in the birth chart, you can see it whether it's going to be more relationship oriented. Like for example, if you've got a lot of placements with your South Node or your North Node in Libra, then relationships are going to be really karmically important in this incarnation for you. And if it's in Aries, then it's going to be asking you kind of the opposite, to be more independent and less relying on relationships in this incarnation. So, but for sure, like I agree, it's important for all of us.
Okay, very cool. Sue says, hello, JC and everyone from Queensland, Australia. Hello there, Sue. I appreciate you. Lisa DiMartino, Sophie is a fairy. I think so. Both of you, actually, Sophie and Julie, have this very fairy elemental with you guys. And when we first discovered you, Janine and I, we both saw the same thing as well. So that's funny as also. Okay. Julie, who's next? Dare I say it's me?
Are you ready?
Yeah, okay. Somebody was saying earlier, JC's already blushing. I've been blushing all night. Yes. What's going here? All right, let's get my chart on the screen here. Hold on a second.
He doesn't like it when I talk about him, so I hope the public enjoys.
Right.
Okay. So super interesting. JC has his South Node in the sign of Leo in his 10th house. So that tells us that he's experienced either being a king or part of a royal family. But that's for sure he had a really high status, because both Leo is the sign of royalty or people in power, and the 10th house is the house of public, like a public status, public figure, a place, people of authority are the 10th house. So you combine the two together, and it tells us that it's pretty sure that he was a king in past lives, or a royal family member at least. So he experienced that already. So that's something he knows. And also, like, the career part is related to the 10th house. So he knows already how to make it work. He knows how to get there. Like, if he has an objective in mind, that's something he already learned from the past and mastered from the past also. So in this incarnation, what's going to be different for JC is that his North Node is exactly opposite. So Aquarius, 4th house. Aquarius in mundane astrology is the sign of the people. It's the opposite of the royalty. It's the common people. And 4th house is more focused on home, family, creating communities. So in this lifetime, JC is showing people how to regain their power, because Aquarius also is like, how do you change the way that we see power? Because Leo is more pyramidal. Aquarius, it's all interconnected, but on an equal level. So he's kind of showing people how to gain their power back with decentralized resources, because Aquarius is talking about decentralization. And so give back to the common people for more equality in the world. And he's here to help build structures, because 4th house has to do with structures that will benefit everybody, the common people. So he's not working for the elites anymore. He's on our side. So that's a really good thing. So all of his past experiences is there to help the people gain their power back. So I thought that was super interesting.
Okay, let me add a little bit to that, and then I'll ask either Sophie or Janine to add to that, whoever wants to go first. But it's funny because when I was 5 or 6 years old, I was a middle child. I had an older brother and a younger sister, and my parents, of course, would give us chores to basically build upon us that sentiment of having little responsibilities. And so I've always, anyways, that's how I was raised. And one of my responsibilities on the Wednesday night was to take out the trash to the street. And I just fucking hated it. And I was like, to my mom, I was like 5 or 6. I'm like, I have people for that, don't you know? So in my mind, I was like, I don't do this stuff. Somebody's supposed to do this for me. So anyways, my parents were like, no, you don't.
Like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So that was really funny. But in terms of what you're saying too, giving away power back to the people. Even as I was a kid, I was a system buster. Everywhere I went, waiting in line, like the education, going to church, all these things. I saw all the problems of these structures, and I would point out to them, to everybody, this is stupid. It doesn't work. You have the power. They don't have the power. So I've been doing that all my life, much to my chagrin, much to the chagrin of my school principal, who absolutely hated my guts for all of the trouble I gave him. So yes, I've been on that track for quite some time, and Beyond Mystic is I guess, a culmination of all of that, bringing that experience to you guys and helping you guys again reach that power, so that we flatten that pyramid that we've been living underneath for so long. Okay.
Well, I would say that you're doing a great job, if I may add.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and thank you everyone for enjoying a good laugh. I'm trying to share with you guys. Okay, who wants to go first? Janine, Sophie, who wants to go first? Okay, let's do Janine.
Janine's like,
okay, let's see what we got there, Jean-Claude.
Okay.
Okay.
Jill, she says, I love your giggles, JC. Yeah, when I'm nervous, I tend to giggle a little bit more.
When we talk about him, he doesn't like it.
You guys can send me energy here. I'm a little nervous. You're right. Jill. Okay.
I definitely get the king. So when Julie said you were some kind of royalty, yeah, you absolutely were. But this is interesting because I'm getting I don't think you were part of the dark cult. You were actually a royalty who loved his people. So you were a heartfelt, very loving. And I feel like you had a lot of connection to the land. And you had a large area you were like residing over, and it was all grape growing. I get grape growing and wine making. And you were really good at, like, of course you had people doing the labor, but you had a lot of magic with the grapes, or the understanding of how to make a really good wine. So that's interesting. And then we've got this Queen of Swords in the background. Somebody, an air sign woman around you who might be in the past really hard on you, was also really hard on you in that lifetime. And then you had to come in contact with that person again. I feel like in that lifetime where you were the king, they were the only one that would put you in your place. And I feel like it might have been your older sister. Now, I don't think this lifetime they were your sister. I don't know where they fit in, but you've met them again this lifetime, and they were hard on you again. And you actually stopped the cycle and made a boundary where you weren't going to tolerate them. Sort of, it was almost like a subtle putting you down. But it was like you met them again this lifetime, and you had to deal with that. That was a big deal for you. And I don't know who they were in your lifetime, but you might know. Anyway, you were a good and benevolent king, just so you know.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
I love that.
Appreciate that. And that whole story you just said there resonates with me. I kind of know who you're talking about. It's really freaking me out. Okay. Sophie, anything you want to add to that? Or you just want
I only had a moment to close my eyes and connected, but I saw a past life where it looks tropical. So it looks like Polynesia, something about tropical, a place where you were high in power. So when you said land, I connect with that because I saw that you have a lot of ritual and commitment to the earth and nature in that role that you were playing. And I would like to also use the Elvis deck to have more details to that. But I see that it's very linked to rituals and nature.
Okay. I love Elvis, by the way. I brought my mom to see the Elvis story at the casino a month ago, and it was a great show. So, yeah. Okay. It's funny you bring Elvis on again.
Yeah, we have the Temperance card. So restoration of the land. And we have fighting for this. So you were really strong in your feelings about restoration, I don't have this word in English, so I will just say restoration. That will be it. Nature, preservation. I do have the Emperor too.
Wow.
I do have the Emperor, but on top of the Emperor, I have welcoming, accepting, and releasing. So I don't think that you were that thrilled to be in that role all the time. I think that you had a lot to accept and to grieve in that role.
Mm-hmm. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, is the saying. Yeah, I have dreams about that. Yeah. Wow. 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 Well, okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's a lot to think about.
Hidden. So maybe I was kept hidden from the public, either a monk or someone religious, because Sagittarius is connected with belief systems. So either spirituality or religion. And I had a psychic reading recently, and the lady told me that I studied astrology in past lives, but I kept like I was a high initiate in some kind of spiritual tradition, but I kept that knowledge for myself because I kind of was hidden from the world. And now, and also I've got Mars and Uranus conjuncting my south node. So it's kind of a spiritual warrior off-world kind of energy. So that could be another possibility. So I'm kind of curious what the cards have to say. And my north node is in the sign of Gemini in my 10th house. So what JC mastered in past lives, I have to go towards more of a career-oriented lifetime. And Gemini talks about sharing knowledge publicly. So this is kind of what I'm doing right now. So I guess I'm on the right path. So like the knowledge that I've accumulated from past lives, from being a high initiate, I have to share this knowledge in this lifetime in a public way. So it could be through media, social medias, because it's all related to Gemini. And I have my Chiron that's conjuncting my north node. So it's kind of a healing knowledge that I'm sharing in this lifetime.
Wow, very good. Well, my first reaction to that, to meeting Julie the first time, was that in a vision I saw her basically as a high priestess in some type of mystery school. So that was very like ingrained, and that probably led Janine and I to do that first show where we did the Galactic Odyssey and the reading between all of us, and that was coming up very clearly for me. That's really cool. It's fun to see how the astrology kind of ties into some of these visions that both Janine and I had way back when, I guess back in November or December of last year. Janine, do you want to share either your thoughts, or do you want to pick from the cards? How do you want to add to Julie's slide deck here?
Well, it makes a lot of sense, and I get that whole high priestess. But I feel like Julie, this lifetime, you're really being asked to be more in the public eye. I mean, that's why I think Jean-Claude spotted your video or whatever happened, however he spotted you the first time, and drew you into, and Beyond Mystic gets to have you on, in a big way. It's because you needed to be more in the public eye, away from that fourth house, and into the public. So that makes a lot of sense. And so you were an initiate, and but I also get
Did we just lose Janine?
I feel like time travel too. So I think time travel is something that you might be really good at. And I feel like we're all going to know a lot more about time travel real soon. I feel like, first of all, we might do it already without knowing it. And second of all, there's a lot more of it happening, and we just don't know about it. So I feel like you're going to connect back to all of those gifts you already have. You know how to do all that stuff. That's why a lot of people feel this elusive energy sometimes when you're on camera.
Hmm.
I feel like it's because you can move between the boundaries maybe a lot easier than other people can.
And you know what? She does that during live shows sometimes. I notice that she's here and then she's gone. It's so funny. When we recorded this show also about soul contracts, we got into some of those questions of where she was going. Was she going to die here on Earth or maybe in space? Guys, if you haven't seen this episode, go check that out because there's a lot in there to perhaps trigger you yourself for what your soul contract and your mission is right now. And also how that relates to perhaps your role in this disclosure process, not the government stuff that everybody's talking about, but our role as humans, as a collective here in the disclosure, but also into this rapprochement with our space brothers and sisters. If you haven't seen that episode, go and check that out as well. Wow, fascinating, Janine. Let's get Sophie in there, I guess. Sophie, of course, Julie's your sibling. You've known her for quite some time. You've known her probably in some past lives also. What do you have to share with the audience members here for tonight?
Well, it's funny that I never saw first the information that you share with me today. So I'm so glad to have a sister who can read those because I have no clue how to read a birth chart most of the time. I remember that we did a past life together and you were off-world and you were fascinating about the stars and the universe. You were studying it all the time. So it makes a lot of sense. And when Janine says that you have the gift of a magician, I have the same card. So we have the same cards tonight, Janine. Wow. And I have also the card that says missing, return. So it's really possible, like Janine says, exactly the same, that you can go back and bring those gifts to have bigger gift in this lifetime. We have subconscious. We do have subconscious vibration and we have the Fool here. So I see you, like GC is saying, leaving your body, going elsewhere. And it's very good for your vibration because right now with everything that is going on with the world, you don't want to stay in this vibration that everything is having around us. So I see you leaving often, and it's just to bring back that higher vibration that we all need.
Wow.
Speechless.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot there too, because folks, you have to understand that we individually can fill in the blanks here in our own understanding of who we are, and there's a lot to what was just said now on the screen. We're already 51 minutes into the show. My God, it went so fast. I was hoping to take some questions for the audience, but we won't have time. Janine and I have a big day tomorrow, and she has another show to record here tonight right after this one. What we could do. Let me start with Janine. Janine, let's pull some cards here. We've kind of asked these questions, generally speaking, before on different episodes, but in the context of what we're doing now, the context of where the Beyond Mystic audience is going, have we, Julie, Sophie, myself, and you, made an agreement in these past lives to come together now? And if so, what is that objective that we're all supposed to help each other here, as it seems that we all have these juxtaposition of North Node and South Node here to support each other in that mission? What would the cards have to say?
Wow. I got the very same two that we got around Julie's cards. So we're certainly aligned, and maybe we're all bringing vibrations from other sectors of the universe without even knowing it. Maybe we all do that. So that's wild.
Wow.
And also with this feels like in the time when everything's changing. So the slow death of the old world. So we've agreed to help people through the dark night of the soul, okay? Safely get them through. We're safely and we're bravely. So this guy's really brave, and we're bravely leading people through so they can be braver to get through this time, because a lot of people, and they do comment that we do seem to help with people, like they feel better after watching the show. They feel more grounded. They feel like they can get through the next week when they see us. You know, we do 2 lives a week and sometimes 1 live a week, but it really helps people. And I feel like we've all agreed to do that. We're helpers in the time and bringing people through the scary part to the rebirth of the world.
Wow, that's amazing. And Cassidy Art is asking, hey, GC, did the chat or the audience members also make an agreement to be here as well? Why don't you tackle that one, Sophie, and add to perhaps the first question as well? What would you have to say, Sophie?
Sure. So I pulled card for the first question, and I have all of those. Only 3 cards that I took. We have Awakening, and we do have bringing new information to the table about who is the devil in disguise. So this is wild. This is crazy.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Fascinating. Okay. And to add to the last questioner here, what's their role? Did they also, most of the audience members, make a soul contract and a decision in the past life to support this and to build this community here as well? What would you have to say to that? And then I'll ask Janine and Julie the same question.
Yes. So I will close the sound for a second while I do that, and I come back.
Okay. Sophie has a very loud deck of cards. We're trying to make the best audible experience for you guys here on the show.
Out of this Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
We did agree all together. So us, it's one thing, but everyone that is watching, everyone that is a part of this community, we did agree to go together through this journey. I have multiple reasons why. First of all, we have the lonesome energy. So most of us have families or friends or surrounding that are not in agreement to what we are believing in at this current moment. So to be together in that community is really important, to have this strong bound, to not feel lonesome, to not feel alone, because this big force can seem really heavy and strong, and we can seem very little and not having any power. But when we are together, when we know the truth, we are stronger in that. Wow. Also, we have suspicion. So it's really good that we can tell, okay, something is not right with my gut feeling. I need to dig deeper. What is it that don't feel right with my gut? And when we are listening to everyone, Janine, GC, everyone, we know that, well, I'm not the only one. It's not making sense for me. My gut is not telling me that this is okay. So we need to dig deeper. We're not born yesterday.
Right. Wow.
It's such a good card for past lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good card for also not naive, and I'm not. I cannot just believe everything that is thrown my way.
Right. And that speaks a lot to the audience members watching this show, of course. They're not big fans of CNN. Okay, that's my job for tonight for the old lamestream media. Okay, Janine, what do you have to add to that? Anything with respect to the audience members, their contract, their relationship here with us, and also perhaps maybe if you want to pull some cards on why it's important for them also now to start looking into their connections, their past lives, and how it can help propel them forward here in this particular lifetime. Janine.
So I got a big ace. Everything Sophie was saying, I'd say absolutely agree. So I align with what she was saying. And this card, going through it together. So even though we have these family members that don't want us around or are not listening, or, most of friends and family of mine don't even watch these shows. I bet that's true for a lot of people, even in the viewing audience. They probably have very few people they can talk to. I've heard that sentiment so many times. So I feel like we're the ones here for each other. So we're there for each other. And it's so important, I feel like. So that part's really, really feeling good. It's karmic. And we agreed to it. We agreed to support each other through this, all of us.
Wow. I love it.
It's crazy because we just filmed the pay-per-view on Earth Space Force, and at the end, Janine, like the message that she got intuitively for the collective was that a big lesson that we're learning right now is learning how to trust our gut feeling and what's good for us and what's not good for us, basically for our through our intuition. So it's exactly what Sophie was saying. So I think this is so relevant right now. And
it's cool because it's not just here on Earth in 3D where those skills absolutely will help us move away from this pyramid of control, but also as we're getting into the rapprochement with other beings outside of this earth. And that skill of being able to discern what's for our highest good and who we're looking at and what their intentions are is absolutely going to be needed. And what we were saying in this episode, and please do go check it out, is that most of what the narrative is around disclosure right now is actually meant to distract us, so that if and when we get to those points, we are confused as to who the good guys and the bad guys might be. So again, understanding who you are, what's good for you, and all of this is really paramount in us taking charge of this disclosure and this rapprochement. A very good point, Julie. Julie, before I end the show, I'm going to ask you again about these birth charts. A lot of people are asking where they can get them and how to get that process and what's the timeline for you to produce them. Before I do that, I had, I believe I saw May Levy in the chat earlier. May's there. May, this retrograde last night, we missed May Levy, and Janine and I were trying to help her promote this amazing... Let me bring the live link back into the chat here. And guys, what I'll do also, as soon as I finish broadcasting the show, I will be pinning that comment to the top of the comments here below. So big thank you to May in supporting for that. And hopefully we can get her on next week also to share with us a little bit more about this amazing upcoming light language activation for you guys. So thank you, May. All right. So Julie, let's get back into the birth charts. A lot of people are asking, okay, I get it. It's important. Astrology is part of our lives here. How do I get started? And if I book with you here to get this personalized birth chart, what can they expect here in terms of this digital product on maisonjupiter.com? Julie.
Yeah, so I'm making those birth charts. It's a nice poster that you can print and frame and choose the color of your choice for your birth chart. So this is the exact placement of your planets and most important alignments between your planets at the very moment of your birth. So it kind of defines, it's kind of a blueprint for your life. And it's also a really good self knowledge. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Self-knowledge tool. Yes. So I think this is truly important in this lifetime that we kind of understand the energies of our birth chart. So that's why along with the birth chart, I'm sending a 15 to 20 pages report explaining all your important planetary positions and alignment. Yes. So that's a lot to read, but it's in order to give like a general overview. And then for sure, astrology, it's in between an art and a science, I would say, but there's so much content you can learn on. So this is only the beginning, I would say, but such an important tool to begin with, I think.
A very good step forward indeed. And guys, for a little bit of a promotion here, of course, if you use the coupon code Beyond Mystic, you can also obtain another 10% off of these birth charts. Now, on top of that, somebody in the started comments, hold on, where was it? I so need a reading with Sophie. Yes, okay, Shauna. So Julie, Sophie, explain here these tarot bookings, these personal tarot bookings you have on the website service here, where you're at in terms of the schedule here, and how is this working out?
Yeah, so you can book a tarot reading with my lovely sister Sophie right here. She has the 1 hour bookings. I don't remember where we are. I think we're starting to book for July. Is that possible?
July,
Okay.
yes.
July, yes. So she's very popular, as you can see. And also, if you wish to have like a closer appointment, you can also book the 30-minute priority booking. We created that product in order for people to maybe, if they have more precise questions that they need to take action on. So yeah, she's really good, and she helps me a lot with my personal decisions. Every time I have something I cannot decide on, I call my sister. So she's the best.
Very good. So, folks, you can find that at maisonjupiter.com. The links are, of course, going to be pinned in the comments section below. And, of course, the coupon code works for both the birth charts and the tarot bookings. May Levy is saying it's going to be epic. Yes, May Levy is absolutely epic. And again, guys, just go back and watch some of our previous shows when she's doing these activations live for us here. You guys are going to be absolutely stunned by all of this. So please, if you are going to participate in that, I would recommend also, let me see if I can bring one here. You might want to use your Beyond Mystic silver bars and your crystal grids and to join May Levy in this amazing resonance field that you guys are going to create together in this activation. So this is just one example of one of our lovely viewers. So a big thank you to all of you and a big thank you to you, May, as well. Oh, so guys, listen, I know we're rushing a little bit here. Janine has to go. I have to go. So this was the Divine Feminine Oracle Show. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And thank you, Julie, Sophie, and Janine, for sharing your personal information here tonight. I know Janine just had to love that. So a big thank you to all of you. And of course, in the meantime, guys, please do go and support Janine here. You can find her at Sending Ravens on YouTube and also here at Tarot by Janine. And finally, you can find Julie here at Maison Jupiter. And if you haven't done so already, please remember to like, share, and subscribe here at Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic 3. I love you guys. Have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.